What's going on, gamers? Today we're back with some more Thymesia. What I'm going to be giving you is a true endgame build that can pretty much devastate everything in the game. So if you want to have a lot of fun, do a lot of damage and stay alive, then stay tuned. That's coming up next. Welcome back everybody. Today we're back with some Thymesia and I'm going to be giving you an endgame build that I think is a lot of fun to use and can just dish out so much beats it's unbelievable. Now as always, if this helps you out, a like would be super appreciated, and if you'd like to become a member of the channel for all the latest and greatest Xbox content, then why not hit that subscribe and bell icon. But for now I'm going to jump into a little bit of gameplay, show you what this build's all about. Right, so hopefully from that you can tell that this can do a lot of damage, it's a lot of fun, and it gives you a lot of versatility because it allows you to use whatever second plague weapon you actually want to equip in your build. I had not actually fully completed the game when I've done this build, I have now, but it still holds true, it's probably the best one I've made so far. So if I quickly go over your attribute points: Strength 17, Vitality 12 and Plague 23. This is going to allow you to have a lot of claw damage. It's also going to allow you to have a lot of uses of your plague weapons, which is really nice because we're using that bow to its maximum effect, trying to get a lot of damage out of it. Bow in this game is very possibly, or well actually is, the most powerful plague weapon in the game because of how much you can spam it and just how much damage it does overall. We've got enough strength to do a nice chunky bit of damage, and we've got enough vitality to get us through pretty much anything in the game without having to worry. Now for our talents, we've got just over here, going over at dodge and slash if you do want to go into your saber attacks, and just down here, dodge and slash level 2, increase the damage of your saber attacks and slash attack. So if you're going in with your saber attacks, which you will from time to time, this is going to help you dish out those beats. Over from there, and ones you have to have in this and pretty much any build in this game, is going to be your healing execution. The 1 and 2 of this is going to be what gives you your health back and of course your energy, meaning you're kind of sustaining your build and able to go on to your next foes. Just over from here, sharp weapons, again increase saber damage and increase it even more. And lastly, restore energy when hitting enemies with your saber attacks, and even more so. This is going to provide you with a completely well-rounded build, meaning that you can go in with your saber, you can go in with your claw, you can go in with your bow, you've got no issues with anything, and your long range and your close range is completely covered. Deflect, we have got absolutely zero on this. This is a pure dodge build. Jumping over to the dodge, and I find by far the best one. I really like the longer dodge. So we've gone down this route, and it gives us a bit of survivability in our build as well. Corvus can dodge twice, the second one is longer, and just here you get a defensive buff when you're doing that dodge. I find this the best overall. This one's going to give you a bit more damage, but honestly we really don't need it. Next up for our claw, and I really like this one. I'm not a big fan of this tree, to be perfectly honest. Long claw level 2 means you're going to do a second attack. The second claw damage is increased by 30%. And just down here, again, it's going to mean when you do that, it's going to give you bleeding debuff on the enemy, keeping their wounds on the enemy, so you don't have to worry about anything. I really like this. 2 big old long claw attacks going in, you get a bit of extra damage and you're not stuck in their face, so you can dodge out of the way. With this one I found sometimes the little claw attacks weren't quite as good, and I found myself comboing it up very often, sometimes getting hit when I probably should. Over from there, and we're going to be using Energized Claw level 2, again meaning we got all of our energy coming back to us. With everything in this build, you're going to have energy coming out of your ears, you're not going to have to worry about anything, and it's a lot of fun being able to use those plague weapons whenever you want. Feathers, again, we just don't need it because of our plague weapon. That bow is going to do almost everything. You can use it close range, you can use it mid range, you can use it to get out of your crits. It's ridiculous how good that is. They're probably going to adjust it at some point, but while it's this good, you might as well chuck it on your build. Strategies, one that you have to have is this one right here, and that's going to be your plague weapon level 2. This is going to allow you to have an extra plague weapon. Like I said, this is down to your choice. You don't even need an extra plague weapon if you don't want, but I do find it best in this game because it gives you a bit of viability and can mean a little bit of a change up whenever you want to chuck different ones into different situations. Another one, Plague Wounds, extends the time taken before the wounds start healing, and Plague Wounds level 3 further extend the time taken for the enemy wounds to start healing. This is just going to help you on those bosses so that you can get a bit of distance if you need to. Just over from here, an absolutely essential one on every build unless you're a masterclass in not getting hurt, and that's Blessing. On one, you're going to have 30% chance to reduce the incoming damage by 10%, 20% at level 2, and finally the best one of them is going to be First Aid. When taking lethal damage and Corvus has at least one more potion left, it will be automatically used. Think of this as your extra life. It's really going to save you in those binds, and it means that especially with the potions we're using, it's going to be very useful. Now with this, I've put it as a pure endgame build, so I've only got 2 in the luck. Slightly increases the item drop rate and slightly increases the item drop rate again. If you're nowhere near the end, you may want to pop one into this in order to make sure you've got the highest drop rate of that. But for a moment, we're going to go with Perfectionist, level 1, while Corvus' health is full, permanently gain 1 stack of offensive buff, but if he takes any damage, that buff is lost. This is what you're going to use at the start, especially when you're using that bow. It's going to help you to get a little bit of extra damage, and we'll have a lot of health regen going on when we get those executions and such, so this will be on quite a bit more often than you realise. And finally, while Corvus' health is full, permanently gain 1 stack of energy restore buff. After taking any damage, the buff is lost. Exactly the same again, we are now just ridiculous for regenning everything, and this is just an awesome build to use. And if you are very endgame, you could even take 2 out of here and put them somewhere else if you want to. Now like I said at the time of making this video, I had a couple of bosses left to do, so I had these ones down here that weren't unlocked. But most of these were very high in level because I had been farming quite a lot. Trust me, this bow is just ridiculously broken. That's the main thing you've got in your build, and it's the main thing you want. What you're going to do is you're going to use this. Because we've got strength 10, it's going to increase its casting speed. And because we've got plague past 10, it's going to give the enemy 1 stack of bleeding debuff when landed. Again, this is going to keep leaving wounds on the enemy, meaning that you're not going to have to worry about them regening their health as much. The basic action is going to be firing an arrow that can interrupt enemies' critical attacks. So again, if they're going to crit rather than feathering, you're going to use this, and it's going to do a ridiculous amount of damage. 300% attack damage plus 600% amount of wounds. On normal standard, it's going to do 300% attack damage and 300% amount of wounds. That in itself is pretty high. However, with its extended action, pressing X right after you're shooting to fire another arrow is only going to cost you half energy, and again, you're getting off another arrow. So another 300 attack damage plus 300 wounds. This is on a 1 second cooldown and only costs 40 energy. ridiculous, broken. They'll change it eventually if they don't want people to all use this, because it is just that good. As you probably saw from that boss, where I didn't even use my maximum buff with my actual potion and such. For your other slot, because you have got one, put in whatever you want. If you want a bit more survivability, you could use a blood shield, or you could use something like a massive attack if you want a bit of fun, if you wanted to be using this one, which is the giant sword. Or you could even go over to here and use the blood blade if you really enjoy going in with that blade effect. This one's one of my favourite ones, so I'd probably put this on at the moment, unless I wanted a blood shield or anything along those lines. Now lastly, for the potion, you want your fast acting potion. This is going to give you the most activations, it's going to make your life a whole bunch easier, and the main one you'll want on it will probably be the recipe warming up. This is going to give you an increase by 10%, it's going to mean you take a little bit less damage when you use it because you've got garlic and such in it, and it also means, because you've got garlic and you've got the black pepper in it, and it also means you've got basil. This I find to be one of the best recipes in the game, and the only other one that I'd probably use would be the one for circulation if you want to be getting a little bit more health back and make yourself a little bit more survivable. So depending on your playstyle, if you fall over a bit, use circulation. That one would be clove, oregano and fennel, but if not, use this one and you'd pretty much be golden. Yep, but yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed that, and let me know in the comments how you get on with the build. You can adjust it up and down. If you need a bit more health, put a bit more health in, but ultimately I found this the most well rounded, and because you've got that second life of sorts, you don't really have to worry about much. Just make sure you've got that fast potion on, and because you've got 8 activations, it's really going to mean you get a lot of damage and you're able to have a lot of survivability anyway. As always, Full Things Gaming, Full Things Xbox, take care. I'll see you on the next day.